Well, good morning, and how are you? I am, as Judy said, a futurologist. Well, you're very polite. How can anybody have such a ridiculous job title as futurologist? How can there be an ology, a science, or a logic of the future? Isn't that a contradiction in terms? An oxymoron like military intelligence? Or European harmony? There was a very, very sad man said to me in a bar the other night, married life. But the reason I use such a ridiculous word to describe what it is that I do, which is actually to study the trends of the present that are likely to impact the future, is to make a point about the future and language itself. Just as we have no good word in English to somebody who studies the future, so I argue we have no language for the future itself. And I argue that if we don't have language, it's very hard to think about the future. It makes it difficult. And I said this not long ago at a university, and a very attractive young woman stood up and she said, "Excuse me, Mr. Hammond, excuse me. I think you maybe you've made a mistake. I'm in the drama department." I could have guessed that. And she said, surely Shakespeare had a language for the future. He was writing 400 years ago, and his words, his plays, his poems are as powerful today as when he wrote them in the time, in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. I looked at this gorgeous young woman, and I said, yes, you're right. I'm in error. I should have said, we have no language for the technological future. And that's the sort of future you're thinking about. Now, Shakespeare, of course, was writing about the human condition. He was writing things that are essentially human: love, lust, power, envy, greed, the things that are constant. But there wasn't that much technology in Shakespeare's day. But today our lives, whether it's in business or socially, are totally dominated, mediated by technology. And as I will try to make clear in a minute, not having a language for technology when it first emerges gives us a problem in understanding it, in communicating about it, and deciding how best we can use it. For example, the human race is at the moment busy creating a new digital extension to life, something which is always on, always connected, everyone to everyone, pretty soon everything to everything, always and everywhere. That's where we're going. But it took me maybe 40 words, maybe 60 words to try and describe this new digital extension to our lives. Internet isn't sufficient because it's not just the internet, it's cellular, it's radio, it's TV, it's all of these things pushed together but ever more powerful than we can imagine. So we don't yet have a term. And we've never had a term for new technology, and I shall prove that to you now. When this device that throws images on the screen was first invented a couple of hundred years ago, in the English language we called it a magic lantern. We described the lantern as being magic because it could throw pictures. An automobile was described as a horseless carriage. We could only describe it by what it didn't have. It didn't have horses. A locomotive was an iron horse. An aeroplane was a flying machine. A refrigerator was an icebox. Movies were talking pictures. Radio was wireless. You get my drift? We never have appropriate language when technology first arrives. And after those great Victorian inventions were made, we came through the 20th century with flurry upon flurry upon flurry. After radio, wireless, we had television, we had the computers, the internet, and today we have the mobile phone. Now, I know you're already ahead of me because I think the term mobile phone will come to seem as archaic as the term horseless carriage. And the term mobile phone is as misleading as the term horseless carriage.